Hello, back again. As promised in the last video, this particular video is going to show you where I found a village, what I've been able to do in there, and how I've been able to get my bearings and directions without necessarily having to use the map. So I'm back at the starting base, as you can see, with all the nice bits in there, and I thought, well, let's go and have a play over the mountains. I went the long way around and jumped up there, and as you can see, if I do that now, it's yeah, it's that kind of old pain in terms of jumping over everything, but eventually found a way through to the other side, through this way, and decided I would start to explore around here. No good hitting a cow, it's a roast pig, so let's try that. Went exploring up there and eventually found a way through over in that direction, but as you can probably see, that's a bit of a bind jumping over there all the time, so we'll come back. I also then decided to try over in that direction, and again going over those hills, especially where that stone quarry is over there, found myself in a new northern direction, but then I found an easy way to get through. I started excavating down here, and when I realised that the village was off to the north, I turned my excavation around to the right and proceeded to build this tunnel through here. These steps are because the two parts of the land are at slightly different elevations. This brings me out to where I put that sign, so I've now got two ways of getting into this tunnel. A bottom entrance, which is direct off the house, and that one requires a slight climb. Again, with the long corridors, a crafting table and a furnace, just in case I need to stop off en route and replenish any supplies. Dug up to the surface. I've built myself a little entrance house here to protect the entrance from any wandering nasties. I've even learnt how to make yellow glass, so I put some yellow windows in there, and then found that I could see the village over in that direction. So from my main base and the wooden house, you can see that it's just a simple matter of following that tunnel, dropping down this hill here, and heading up in this direction to find the village. Now, again, I didn't find the mapping particularly useful, so I thought I would build a couple of landmarks, which is this half bridge here pointing in the direction of the village. And then I thought I need something a bit higher than that at night time, so I went to the top of this hill and built a torch beacon up there. Let's collect that torch because that was left over from before, I think. So at night time I can get my bearings by using these lights. Now if you look over there in that direction, look what you can see. You can see my 5-story building, and it was only through experimentation that I could realise that this 5-story building wasn't that far from the village on a more direct route. So I came the long way round. I then dug a tunnel to come through that hill over there, and then realised that I've got a pretty short way to the 5-story house. So let's go down into the village and see what's what. That was me jumping down a bit high then that got hurt. I have found at various times 3 different merchants in here. One is a farmer who initially wanted potatoes, so I traded potatoes with him, only to find he now wants carrots, and I've got to go and either grow some carrots or buy them from somewhere. I've also found a cleric here who will take rotten flesh, and that's the first practical use I've found for rotten flesh in this game, which up until now has largely been an inventory blocker. Here's the farmer I was talking about. Let's see what he wants today, shall we? He still wants his 22 carrots. The other thing I found was obviously when I was trading, that level went up. And when I traded him the potatoes, I built up quite a good level. But for some reason, and I need to look into that, that level has reverted back to 1. So whether it resets after a certain period of time, I'm not entirely sure. This bell up here, if I ring it, will summon any merchants to me. Although the farmer looks like he might have other ideas. And the cleric usually hangs out in that church over there. But it seems the farmer is the one that spawns the most often. The cleric and the... well, and the other one was an armourer who actually wanted coal in exchange for emeralds. So the farmer seems to be there all the time. But the cleric and the armourer are not. Now, I don't know whether I've done something to make the game despawn them and not allow them back in or not. I can't think of anything that I've done. But, so if we ring the bell, let's see who turns up. Anybody coming to say hello? No. Which again suggests that the armourer and the cleric have not spawned. And I particularly want the cleric to spawn because, as I say, it's the one where I can get rid of all that rotten flesh that I pick up from zombies and the other ghoulies. Yeah, he still wants his carrots. I think I'm going to have to just trade with him to unhook him from his addiction to carrots. You can see there's lots of nice beds in this village, so it's quite a nice one to stop over in. These are normal villagers at the moment, and maybe they're the ones that are spawning instead of the traders. But you can see from that one, I can't trade with him. I don't particularly want to hurt him by smacking him with my sword. So at the moment, this village it's a nice stopping off point, but until the other traders appear, it's not really doing much to enhance the game. It's one where I will keep coming back to it to see if they're there, but I will also use it as a base for exploring the map. As you can see from the map I've got up, I am in the top left-hand corner of this, so as a base for exploring the southern end, not that good. But you can also see on the map, it started to show some structures I've built, like pathways and things. And again, at this level, I think it's got some nice detail, but I'm probably going to have to construct several maps in different parts of the world to have the full use out of them. Okay, so that's the village, and that's where I found the village. Now again, getting your bearings can sometimes be confusing, to say the least. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for that torch mounting that I did. There it is, look. Let's go up there. Now you can see the torch mounting, you can see my house, so I'm going to head over to my house. And by finding that village, digging tunnels through from the southern settlement, also having a building that's tall enough for me to see from quite some distance, I've begun to get a feel for how this part of the world maps out and the lay of the land here. And it's taken some time, but I am getting there. Let's just swim across that bit of water. See, the swim as well is not hugely big, which means it's not very often I get attacked by anything that's drowned. The other thing I've found in this particular world are these things, sugarcane. They do seem to like to grow next to water and lakes, so I've not yet attempted to oh, here we go. I've not yet attempted to grow them near the houses, but maybe if there's a water area around there, then perhaps I can do. You see, I also tend to have this irritatingly bad habit of running around with a full inventory, but not to worry. Right. So the sugar, I've picked up the sugar cane, and you can see that one outcrop has given me three canes. I've found two uses for that so far. One is to make paper out of it, and I'm not quite sure how that works, sugarcane into paper. There may obviously be a real life process that's based on, but I haven't understood that yet. And of course the other thing is for refining into sugar. Now I don't know if you noticed when I came to the house earlier, this cobblestone arrow that I put here. And I put that there so that when I do come to this house, and if I come to it from a different direction, that cobblestone arrow points me towards the village. So now I can get to the village from my big house following the arrow, or from the southern settlement using the tunnels that I've dug. And you can see again from that map there is stuff at the top that this map doesn't cover. Now this is where it gets fun, because the first village I discovered, well, it was that one, but because I completely lost my bearings and started looking around, I started looking in this direction because I thought that the village was over here. And as you can see, I've put a little sign here saying swim to head to village. So let's do that. Swim to head to village. Now this lake here is big, and so I like to get across as quickly as I can, because I once got smacked by a drowned that I didn't see, and it hit me quite hard. So I'm trying to avoid any of that by swimming across this lake here. Mind the lily pads. Lily pads are good for standing on, they're not so good for swimming through. Let's get rid of that map because it's not really helping at all now. I need to do a new map for this area. But let's keep swimming. Keep coming, keep coming. Right. Hello, piggy. You can see over there's another little sign that I've posted. I mean, the nice thing about the distance that you can see in this is that you can see these signs from quite a good distance away. Try north for the village. Now, bearing in mind that when I set that sign, I was still thinking that I was heading for the friendly village. Keep going north, which I did. And if you turn around to look to the west, you start to see a tower. West for Bandit Village. Yep, you've got it. That is a village full of Pillagers, and they can be quite nasty, because once they've clocked you, they do like to follow you. Now, if you stand over here and try and stay out of the way, you can see there's a good fair number of them. I'm not yet sure how strong I have to be, but I strongly suspect that's an area where I need to come back with some friends in a multiplayer version, because I did get seriously whacked by one of them, because once they clocked me, they came back, you know, over this far, and here's me thinking I can run away and they will not follow and chase, but no, there was none of that. They followed me, chased me, and promptly decided to scatter my gear all over the landscape. Fortunately, I was able to come back in time to collect everything that I dropped. So, those are the two villages that I have found, how to get to them, and they are going to be useful additions to this particular world, but I've still got a long way to go before I can find out how to make the most of them. But that's basically it for this video. I just wanted to show you the villages, where I found them, and how I now navigate them across the map. See you again soon. Bye.